Ladies and gentlemen, Bhutan is indeed an amazing country. Fog enshrouded temples nestled in mountainous terrains gives you a glimpse of what makes Bhutan a top travel destination. And this beautiful country is the only carbon negative country in the world. To tell you more, it gives me great pleasure to invite you to watch a special showcase from Country Director of the Bhutan Office of the World Wildlife Fund, WWF, Mr. Tashi Jamtsho. Enjoy.
A very good morning, good afternoon, and evening to all of you. My sincere gratitude to DAGES, the Rotary family, Rotary Club Thimphu, and all the organizers for having me as a part of this event today. Even as I am not qualified to provide credentials, I would like to commend the wonderful work that the Rotary family is doing all over the world. Thank you for caring for us. At the same time, with full conviction, I would like to acknowledge the compassionate journey Rotary Club Thimphu is traveling. The journey that embraced from improving water supply to supporting livelihoods of the poorest of the poor, to empowering young people, to waste management in Bhutan. Thank you, Rotary Club Thimphu. Your Excellency, Dato Bindi Raja Segaran, Honorable K.R. Ravidran, Honorable Dr. Christopher Patak, Honorable Dr. Dilipan Nair, esteemed session moderators and panelists, participants, and most importantly, and the most honorable youth participants, the hope of our one home, planet Earth. It is a great honor for me to be a part of this platform, Global Climate Conference 2021, especially for a person as insignificant as me. As insignificant as the person I am, in the midst of people with great minds, even greater experience, and even much greater conviction to care for our one home, it would be naive of me to give a discourse on climate change. Therefore, I would like to share a story that I'm passionate about. In this age of Netflix, you see stories of fiction, fad, and facts, narrated with mind-blowing visuals and sounds. My story doesn't have all of this, but it is a story of truth. And this is my story of my country, Bhutan, a story of being carbon negative and being blessed with leadership positive. Please allow me to narrate this story in 4 chapters. Chapter 1, Bhutan, a haven for environment conservation. We are a country that is only a small speck on the world map, nestled in the heart of the mighty Eastern Himalayas. Our country is one of the smallest countries in the world. Our economy is small, with a GDP of barely $1.7 billion. But we are using our limited resources consciously and commit to use it sustainably. We are a nation that only introduced television and internet in 1999. But we are, I feel, blossoming in the age of rapid globalization at a prudent pace, because it is a national imperative that we progress while preserving our unparalleled cultural identity and pristine environment. This is the ethos of a development philosophy that has somewhat become Bhutan's treasured trademark: gross national happiness. Gross national happiness, or GNH, is a multidimensional development approach that seeks to achieve a harmonious balance between material growth and societal inclusiveness, resilient cultural identity, environmental sustainability, and good governance. So, you see, we are a country that places great importance on fulfilling the spiritual, emotional, and cultural needs of all our people. And these needs are intrinsically linked with the nature that surrounds us, the nature that is our most precious national treasure. This is where I tell you the hidden secrets of my kingdom in the clouds. It is a natural paradise like no other. Unblemished blue skies every morning, crystal clear waters that flow from our icy glaciers through deep mountains into valley villages. Thriving species of wildlife residing in the nooks and crevices of our protected areas. Abounding flora that adorn the mountain landscape, and luxurious forests that are green and immaculate. Because our constitution mandates that we maintain 60% of the country as forest cover for all times to come. And as of now, we are exceeding this. Bhutan's forest cover is currently at over 70%. Our story is simple. We are a small nation with one of the biggest and truest commitments to conservation. All this and more has been possible because of the extraordinary leadership of our kings. Our monarchs have always regarded conservation of environment as the essence of meaningful life. Therefore, our monarchs' unwavering commitment to environment conservation is an emblem of their selfless leadership and service to all living beings of Mother Earth. Even as the world and Bhutan faces the wrath of COVID-19 pandemic, and as most of us hide behind our protective masks and comforts of our home, my king, His Majesty King Jigme Gesar Namgyal Wangchuk, for months have been in the front line, braving the monsoon rain, landslides, and many more perilous natural phenomenon, serving the people, caring for the people, making sure we are safe. The pulse of this chapter is our benevolent kings, our monarchs. Chapter 2, Bhutan's conservation efforts, benefits within and beyond borders. Bhutan's network of conservation areas also play a critical role in supporting the country's socio-economic and environmental health. The main pillars of Bhutan's economic development are hydropower, tourism, and agriculture. These sectors depend on the ecosystem services provided by our pristine environment. Bhutan's abundance of protected areas is a refuge for wildlife. Home to over 700 species of bird, over 200 species of mammals, over 5,600 species of vascular plants, over 61 species of reptiles, 124 species of amphibians, 91 species of freshwater fish, and still counting. Bhutan is also home to many critically endangered species: tigers, snow leopard, the white-bellied heron, the golden mushir, and many others. At the same time, we are in the heart of Asia's water towers. The ecosystem services that our rivers and forests provide are the pulse of our economy: hydropower, tourism, and agriculture. At the same time, our rivers provide ecosystem services and livelihood to over 1.5 billion people downstream. Bhutan's conservation efforts and the management of our protected areas has bearing on the sustenance of these populations downstream. At the global stage, amongst many other commitments, most notably, Bhutan has pledged to remain carbon neutral for all times to come at the UNFCCC COP15 at Copenhagen, and reiterated this commitment at COP21 at Paris. Bhutan has also committed to achieve the global biodiversity Aichi targets and overall objectives of the UN CBD. Bhutan is conscious that the world is divided by geographical boundaries, but the threat on the world's environment is global. Climate change impacts knows no boundaries. Natural disasters do not choose nations. There is no two ways about saving our planet. We must act as one. Local actions in conserving our environment have global significance. Global efforts on conservation have local impacts. Therefore, maintaining Bhutan's mosaic of conservation space and the health of this ecosystem is critical, not just for Bhutan's small population, but for the millions of people living downstream and for the whole of humanity. And maintain we must, and we will. The protagonist of this chapter is our planet Earth. Chapter 3, Conservation Heaven Under Threat. The current state of Bhutan's environment and associated biodiversity is primarily a result of the far-sighted vision and leadership of our kings. Our monarchs and forefathers have established a unique conservation legacy. We need to pass it on to our future generations. However, in a rapidly globalizing world, changes ranging from market forces to global climate change are probing even far and remote corners of the Himalayas. We are living with the perils of climate change. We are receiving less snowfall. Even our glorious snow-peaked mountains that are home to endangered snow leopards are seeing less snow more frequently. Glaciers are retreating. Crop yields are fluctuating. Water levels in our rivers and streams have receded, and we are experiencing more extreme weather. Flash floods, landslides have become recurring events, causing widespread damage and destruction. The eastern Himalayas are warming with fierce acceleration, and Bhutan's formidable forests may experience a devastating loss. We should not only be damaging to us, but also to our neighbors in South Asia. given that our forests sequester millions of tons of carbon in this region. Human-wildlife conflict continues to plague our farmers who do not know how to grapple the situation safely and responsibly. But our greatest worry of all is that we may lose our people who have lived in tranquil harmony with nature and guarded the environment with their families for centuries. Because you see, more than half of our population are the youth who are more educated than the youth before them, but their rural homes in faraway forests and valley villages do not provide them the job opportunities that they seek. So they are leaving their rural homes to find work in the country's urban centers. This demographic shift has stimulated a dramatic exodus of rural inhabitants, resulting to a rising and tragic loss of stewards of our rural lands. And therefore, more than ever, there is a higher precedence to ensure that Bhutan's conservation legacy that has lived resiliently for centuries endure for eternity. And it is this population of young Bhutanese who are moving to the urban areas that can transform the socio-economic landscape of our small country. We must empower them with better education, better skills development, and create enabling policies that will unlock their unlimited potentials. We must inspire them to care for the environment, to live in harmony with nature, to revere the tigers and the snow leopards, to use natural resources responsibly, and to tell their children and their grandchildren about our country's extraordinary conservation story, so that it continues to live for many more generations of conservation-devoted Bhutanese. The central characters of this chapter are the people of Bhutan, especially our youth, and the trees, birds, animals, and the rivers that they live in harmony with. For them, we need to save this conservation heaven. We need to protect our forests. We need to sustain the flow of our rivers. We need to maintain this thriving but threatened ecosystem. We need to adapt to the changing climate as well. Chapter 4, Bhutan for Life and Living Landscapes, Mechanisms for a Sustainable Future. The challenge to maintain a truly sustainable environment is mounting by the year, with rapid market transformations taking place around the world and shifting demographics and rising aspirations within the country. Times are changing steadily, very fast. We cannot be complacent by taking respite on our historical achievements. Pressures are mounting from increasing development, urbanization, changing lifestyles, and transforming economies. Our communities are facing the brunt of human-wildlife conflicts and impacts of climate change. These global changes, from market forces to climate change, are probing even far and remote corners of the Himalayas. Our efforts to protect our environment and conserve this rich biodiversity are tested like never before. So where do we go from here? How do we make our conservation work in this crowded planet? Ensuring the survival and continued vibrancy of Bhutan's ecosystem will require innovative efforts, especially in terms of assured financial sustainability to manage this unique tapestry of conservation space, the protected area network of Bhutan and beyond. Therefore, Bhutan for Life will nurture a landscape-based holistic conservation approach envisioned at consolidating ecological, organizational, and financial measures to maintain the mosaic of Bhutan's conservation space. In tandem, Living Landscapes Initiative strives to ensure conservation space outside the protected areas through the approach of high conservation value areas. Our Queen, Her Majesty Jitan Pema Wangchuk, is the patron of environment in Bhutan. As does a mother care for her children, our Queen, our mother, has cradled in her resolve to take forward Bhutan for Life and the Living Landscapes Initiative. And in her wisdom and care, we are assured that conservation will thrive in Bhutan and pass on this legacy to our youth, the future of Bhutan. My dear participants, I have shared with you our story of conservation. I have shared with you the story of how we managed to maintain the unparalleled richness of biodiversity in our small country, a story of our continued efforts and commitments. But you have also heard of several challenges we face to sustain this legacy. Bhutan's incredible journey of conservation has been possible because of visionary leadership from our beloved monarchs and the unique cultural values Bhutanese attached to environment. The successes of our efforts are also because of the generous support from many donors and partners and friends like you. But today, we are at a crossroads with emerging challenges and the urgencies to address these challenges. We welcome and invite you to become a partner of this incredible conservation journey, our story. The hero of this chapter is you, champions of conservation and friends of Bhutan. We welcome you to partner with the Bhutan for Life and Living Landscapes Initiative. We call upon you to hold Bhutan's hand in this journey of a lifetime. We welcome you to be one with the birds, trees, rivers, lakes, and the people of Bhutan. I'm sure you may want to know more about Bhutan. I urge you to know more about our tiny country. Small it may be, but there are bountiful of stories. Any good storyteller would have said everything that is to be said in the structured chapters, but being a novice in storytelling, I missed out something. So my dear participants, do indulge with me for an additional chapter. This chapter is chapter not numbered. This conference. The heart and soul of this conference is the youth participants and all the young people around the world. This is your story. As you launch the Hug the Tree initiative, we implore you to hug the trees like your life depends on them. For your life and your future definitely do depend on them. The trees, the rivers, the oceans, the mountains, and all life forms. But more so, their lives depend on us and our actions. This is yet your story, my dear young friends. As you launch the Rotary Eco Warriors Initiative, we implore the Rotary family to welcome as many young people as you can. Open your arms to the young. Do not just give them a platform. Let them be the platform. Let them lead. Let them thrive. Finally, I would like to request everyone to reflect. Everyone to reflect. There is a plant on the ground. There is a plant on the ground. You can choose to trample it beneath your feet, or you can pick it up and nurture it with your hands. For this plant is Mother Earth, the place we call home. Thank you, Tashi.
Wow. Thank you very much, Mr. Tashi Jamtsho. What an eye-opener, very inspiring indeed. Bhutan is certainly leading the world in making a very positive impact on climate change, and we hope many other nations will emulate such an action.